So, for those of you who are joining us, welcome. We are so excited that you are here. My name is Laura. I'm one of the law practice advisors for Massachusetts LOMAP, which is part of Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers. We provide free and confidential services for legal professionals, including lawyers, law students, and judges connected to Massachusetts. The webinar for busy lawyers is one of our monthly programs. We're delighted to do it because it brings you practical tips in a short amount of time. We know how busy lawyers are, that you can have some great takeaways as you go for it. So before I introduce today's speaker, I just want to let you know that to answer some questions that often come up, yes, this program will be available in recording and the presentation materials afterwards. If you've signed up, you'll get it emailed afterwards. We'll also have it on an on-demand part of our website afterwards, which is great because Chris has a lot of great tips that you may want to listen to multiple times. Today's topic will be about low-cost and practical tools to increase efficiencies in law practice, focusing on dictation, automation, and more. As we know, this is something that is important for a lot of lawyers. People are very frugal, they want practical, they want accessible and affordable. To give you a bit of a background on Chris, I am absolutely delighted to introduce this month's expert. Christopher Shattuck has been the law practice assistance manager for the State Bar of Wisconsin since 2017. He received his undergrad and Master of Business Administration degrees from University of Wisconsin and his law degree from the University of Laverne College of Law. Attorney Shattuck previously managed a department and litigated cases as at a creditor's right firm in Milwaukee. In addition to providing confidential law practice consultations, he frequently writes and speaks on law practice management topics. I'll say too, as someone who's known Chris for a while, he is an absolutely outstanding person, very clever, very funny, always has great insights, and we are so delighted that you can spend your time with us today, Chris. And again, thank you too for all of you who are joining us. We are very excited for this program. And again, put your questions in the chat. We will get to them at the end. And Chris, why don't you take it away?
All right, Laura, thank you for that excellent introduction and for the invitation to speak today. I'm really excited to present to the group of lawyers in your community. I will skip through the background since Laura did a great job of introducing my credentials here. So contact information, these slides are available. So if you would like to, if you haven't received them yet, you can feel free to reach out to Laura and she can get in touch with you. There's going to be some hyperlinks in these materials. There is my telephone number. There is my email address. I am the Law Office Management Assistance Program Manager in the state of Wisconsin. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the presentation, but if you all need LOMAP answers, you have really great resources available to you through the LCL Mass LOMAP team. So make sure that you utilize those. Our outline today, we're going to be going through some different topics about increasing efficiencies. So we have dictation and transcription tools, automation features for time and billing, and other techniques that you can put into your firm to make things more efficient. So let's start off right away with dictation and transcription tools. I get a lot of questions about this from members in the state of Wisconsin, and they're always looking for the best low-cost way to do dictation. And Office 365 is my first recommendation for everyone. Typically, people have a subscription through Microsoft Office, Microsoft 365, whatever you want to call it these days. They call it Microsoft 365 now. But the greatest tool that you have in there on the Word desktop version or in the online version is a dictation tool. So basically what you can do, and I put hyperlinks to each of these different options here, dictation in Word, Outlook, OneNote, and PowerPoint. So if you click on it, it'll take you to a screen that will show you exactly how to walk through and complete the dictation on your own. But basically what dictation does is you click the button on your screen in your Word document to start dictating the text as you speak it. So as soon as you are talking, it will type it all out. So for those of you who are listening today, if you wanted to have an exact transcript of what I am talking about, you could have played through your speaker this presentation and then had it be recorded from another speaker or microphone into your computer, and it would give you an exact text of everything that I'm saying. So if you are sitting down at your computer and you are a better talker than you are a writer, which sometimes I find that to be the case. For me, I think the best advice I ever received from the head of our previous litigation department I used to work with before joining the state bar was I was trying to write something out. And he's like, "What are you trying to say?" And I'm like, I'm trying to write out this. And I just said it. And then he's like, then just write that. Just write that out. So sometimes it's better, easier to talk or write it out. So whatever your preference is, this is a great tool for you to use. Transcribe in Office 365, now known Microsoft 365. I wanted to keep that vernacular in there just in case you all were confused by the terminology. Transcription is the best thing that has happened to Microsoft Word since they put all of these services on a subscription service in the cloud. So what transcription allows you to do is to upload an audio file containing your voice dictations, or you can dictate it directly into Word. So we talked about dictation where you have to hit the record button, and then as you're talking, it records everything and types out all of the text into your Word document. Transcription is great because let's just say that you went to the courthouse and after the hearing, you wanted to make a note for you to remind yourself to do X, Y, or Z, maybe what the judge said, maybe a request from opposing counsel, maybe you wanted to give your legal secretary or assistant or associate attorney or someone else in your firm some sort of direction. You can simply just pull up any smartphone device that you have and record a voice memo using the voice dictation file that you have built into those phones. After that recording is completed, then you can email the recording to who's ever in charge of transcription in your firm. And this is only available in Word Online. And what it will do is, and there's again, another hyperlink there that will take you directly there. And what this will do is you are able to upload that transcription of that audio, upload the audio file, and then Word's transcription service will create an exact transcript of everything that you said. So if you had a 2-hour long conversation with someone and we'll talk about recording a little bit later, but if you had a 2-hour long conversation with someone and there was 5 different parties that were in the room at the same time, it will actually keep track of those different speakers that were talking at that time. So the key benefits here are that your legal assistant or who was ever doing the transcription will get a transcript that they can then hit play and listen through and then make corrections. So this is a big time saver. If you don't have a legal assistant and it's just you on your own, this will save you a lot of time. I know that a medium-sized firm in Wisconsin contacted me probably around, I think, the earlier part of this year, and they were paying a lot of money in dictation or transcription services for software. And then they were also paying a lot of resources and hours because that software wasn't working well with their firm to have their staff go in and do the transcriptions. And since they started using this process, it saved them a lot of money. So let's talk about privacy because this is a question that comes up a lot. So I did find an article where there's a quote from a Microsoft Office programmer in discussing this. And I don't like reading off slides, but I'm going to read this because I think it's important. It says your audio files are sent to Microsoft, but only to provide you with a service. When the transcription is done, your audio and transcription results are not stored by our service at all. The audio file itself is stored in your own personal OneDrive. So that means that if you do send a transcript, an audio file to be transcribed, and then you use the service in Microsoft 365 to transcribe the product, that once that transcription is done, it will only save that audio file in your own personal OneDrive device. Then you have the ability to go in and, of course, delete it after that. Be very careful about third-party recording laws. I know in Massachusetts, where you all are situated, in about a couple hours, you can be in, a couple different jurisdictions, and there's also different federal jurisdictions and things of that nature. So if you're going to be using this service, make sure that you check the applicable jurisdictional rules for audio recordings of third parties. There may be civil, criminal, or different rules of professional conduct. I know here in Wisconsin that in the eastern districts and the western districts of Wisconsin are 2 federal jurisdictions that their rules state that all of the rules of professional conduct in Wisconsin are applicable unless modified otherwise by a court order. So you might even be in a case where a judge in Wisconsin has made a specific order regarding a certain aspect of this that might change everything under the rules. So you have to be very careful if you're going to be recording a third party. Make sure that you check those rules. Here's something that I would also want to point out. This is only supported, this feature, this Word Online feature. So you would have to go to Microsoft 365, you Google that, you log in through your account. When you go to Word Online to hit transcription and upload the file, it's only supported by Microsoft or Edge at this time. And I had to find that out the hard way, because when I was preparing this presentation for you all, I was using my other work computer, which is a Mac, which I have to help out people with Mac questions. And I was using the Safari browser to log into this Office 365, Microsoft 365 portal, and it wasn't working. And I was like, I should be able to figure this out because I do this for a living. And I got really frustrated with myself. And then I was like, what would I normally do? I would do research to figure out why this wasn't working. And then I found it after like 5 or 6 different link searches. So this feature is only supported in Microsoft 365, Word Online, in Edge or Chrome browsers at this time. Make sure you check the time limits. I have done some reading where it indicated that there is a 5-hour time limit on the amount of audio transcription files you can, audio files you can upload for transcription each month. However, I've also seen that other firms were able to go past that 5-hour limit by simply just continuing to upload transcription files, but then eventually OneDrive just won't keep a copy of those transcription files. So that's something important to keep in mind. Another thing is that there are no limits on dictation at this time. So worst case scenario, you can use my hack of playing something through one speaker and then clicking the dictation button in Word and having it go through and do it that way. They haven't found a way to get around that yet. I think that might be a good solution. I will also note that the reason why there are time limits, at least in my opinion, I don't work for Microsoft, I don't have any access to any insider information, is that I've been informed that Microsoft previously purchased Dragon, the Nuance technology. So I think that they are going to try and figure out how to roll out some sort of subscription service in the future for this that will allow you to purchase additional items, although there's not a hard cap yet. So definitely worth the price of admission to check that out. I think it's a great tool. Some other dictation tools that are available to you and transcription tools are Google Dictate. So this is similar to Microsoft Dictate that we already went through before. You can also look at transcripts through Otter.ai and Zoom Transcript. So this is featured similar to Microsoft Transcribe. So Zoom transcripts will, if you're conducting a meeting through Zoom, it does require the purchase of a certain type of business plan. So you want to make sure that you have that purchase. Otter.ai is on a subscription basis and it works with different facets of technology. So take a look at that. And then we also have some dictation tools in the Mac, in the Windows, Android, and other devices. So those don't have a need for Google Docs or Microsoft Office accounts. But again, those are some options as well. And there are some pricier transcription services such as Big Hand, Dragon Legal, and Philips recording software. So those are some things that you can take a look at. Those services, I think that their technology is better than the standard technology that you're going to get for using some of these free services that we talked about. But then again, if you are speaking in with a clear speaker and you don't have any other types of issues that come up, they might be the better option depending on what you're trying to do. So yes, we will be answering questions in the end. One of the questions I did just see come up in the chat was, is there a charge for Microsoft 365? So there is not an additional charge to use this transcription service. I think you can get a Microsoft 365 business account for around $5 a month. It might go up to about $10 depending on the number of accounts that you have. But if you have Word Online as part of your Microsoft 365 subscription service, then the transcription and the dictation tools are included in that service as part of the package that you pay for. So there's no additional cost to purchase those services once you have them. And I believe you can get the business plan for think it's around $5 a month, which would give you access to Word Online, but check into the features that they have and the different billing models. I will also note that if you're a nonprofit, check into Microsoft 365's nonprofit billing. I know a couple of different organizations that I've talked to were able to save some money on those different services. So automation features for time and billing, we're going to kind of turn the page here a little bit. And this is another question that I get a lot from law firms. And the problem that I see happening a lot is that once a law firm starts out, they kind of have two paths, right? The first path is, let's figure out everything I'm going to need to do with my firm and make sure that it's all being run under one system. And then what I see other law firms happen, and this is solo, medium, and large size firms, is that they start off by getting these different services when they need them at different points in time. And there's not a real grand design around this. So what I always suggest to folks is that you should try to pick software that will help you organize and automate all of the tasks that your firm is going to do, and try to do that under one system. And the reason why is that most of the time when I get phone calls from firms that are looking to be more efficient, I go through and run down and say, okay, well, what are you using for your time and billing? And they're saying, we're using this system. And I say, what do you use for task management? And they say, we use this system. And then I say, well, then how do you organize your documents and get those to your clients? They're like, oh, we use this system. And it turns out that they're using about 5 different systems that are out there, which is completely inefficient if you think about it. Could you imagine every single time if you had to make a phone call with your cell phone, having to input that information into 5 different systems before you could make one call? And that's essentially what this is. So when you're thinking about automation features for time and billing, you want to take a step back and say, okay, what are my organization's needs? What are our KPIs, which are key performance indicators? How do we support those? And you really have to have attorney buy-in at the beginning. If you do not have or employee buy-in at the beginning, it's not going to work out. I've seen many organizations try to go from a paper-based office to a paperless office, and since their staff were not on board, it didn't work out for this. So, don't forget to check staff attorney supervision rules in your jurisdictions as well. There's been a lot of attorneys who have tried to delegate this time and billing aspect or trust accounting aspect to their client, to subordinate employees, and did not supervise them efficiently enough, where the attorneys ended up getting suspended. So again, avoid a patchwork of systems. We talked about this already. You don't want to have 5 different systems trying to input each system, just to do one thing. And remember that a lot of law firms are adverse to change. And so it's really about winning those group of decision makers, or the necessary buy-in that you need. And think about a case management system. So when I talk about a formal case management system, I'm talking Clio, MyCase, SoloSuite, Tabs 3, Practice Panther, those types of systems that have all of the features of, time and billing, and conflicts checking, document automation, everything. Those services you can obtain for your own firm. It depends on the level of service you get, but it's about $40 to $60 per user per month, unless you go for one that has built-in accounting, and it can get up closer to $100 a month. And I get that that seems like a lot of money. I have this discussion a lot with attorneys in Wisconsin when they're trying to justify the change. You will save at least 1 billable hour probably in the first day of using this system, and it will easily pay for itself through the course of time. So key performance indicators, we talked about that. What are they? They are different factors in your firm that you will use to judge the success of your business. So some key performance indicators that we have here are revenue collected. Some firms, they don't care about their profit. They only care about the amount of revenue they're collecting. Some want to know about their billable hours per full-time employee. Others are only concerned with their profit, and then yet others are concerning with their billing realization rates, right? Which is out of the amount of billable time that we sent out to our clients, how much money did we really realize on those billable times? So features of law practice management software. I talked about this previously, and I'll just go into a little bit more detail. These are the tabs 3, Clio, MyCase, so on and so forth. They can generate bills for you. You can do your trust accounting. You can accept payments. They have app integrations with other types of services. So if you needed to, for instance, if you were doing federal case management work, Clio has an integration with a platform that goes through and downloads all of your ECF reports and puts them into your Clio files for you. That saves you a lot of time. There are client portals. So if you need to exchange documents, task and workflow management is important. You can really, if you are doing just one practice area like criminal law, you can, with certain of these case management platforms, create a whole task flow for one case. So for instance, I used to do criminal defense before I joined the state bar. So I know, depending on if it's a misdemeanor or felony, the 8 to 10 different major stages that are in a case, and then all of the deadlines that roll off of those cases. So once you create one set of tasks, you can then take those tasks and duplicate them for every new matter. So if you got a new criminal matter where someone was operating their vehicle after their license was revoked, you're like, okay, here are all the things that happened with this, and then I can just clone this subset. And then also, some of these systems have the ability to interact with your clients through automated either phone messages or emails. So then again, that saves you the time of having to pick up the phone or your staff picking up the phone and calling them to remind them of court dates. So some of the different solutions out there, we've talked about these different ones already. Take a look at Mass Low Maps page. It's really great information that's there. As they indicated, and what I always tell folks is check your membership with your bar associations to see if discounts are available. For instance, in Wisconsin, I believe we have discounts on I think we're around 7 or 8 right now, practice management or time and billing systems. Utilize those free trials. And I always tell firms this, remember that the sticker price is not the purchase price, especially for the smaller, especially for these companies that are trying to gain your business. So if you're a solo practitioner, you're probably not going to have much wiggle room on a month-to-month pricing plan that these case management software companies are going to be offering. If you're going to do a yearly subscription, you might have a little bit more wiggle room. But if you tell them, hey, I'm between a couple different programs and they're going to offer me this, would you be willing to offer me that? I think you might be able to negotiate a better than sticker price deal. If you're in a medium to large size firms, obviously these costs of these programs, like I said, vary between $40 to $60 a month. You can get closer to $100 a month if you have built-in accounting and no need for QuickBooks in those systems. If you have 10, 15 users, you're going to have a lot more bargaining power in those situations. And these discounts that are available through local bar associations, I mean, they're pretty easy to find. And I don't think that you would also have an issue in saying, hey, I'm at an area where my bar association doesn't have a discount. I see that members in this state get a discount. Would you offer me the same discount? And some of those can be 10%, 15%. Reduce costs for the first 6 months. So, just take a look at what's out there and try to get the best deal for you or your firm. So part 3, we're going to talk about some other techniques. This is a question every month in Wisconsin. I host law practice discussion group roundtables. And so basically attorneys are able to call in and talk about anything that's going on in their practice, or they can ask me for advice on certain things. It's really kind of an area where people can brainstorm and get help on things. And one of the questions that I asked that got a pretty good feedback at the last meetings that we had the month prior, what is the most inefficient task you complete in your office on a daily basis? So I'm going to take a drink of water. You all think about that for about 10 seconds, and then we're going to proceed forward. All right. So most of the answers that folks provided to me on that, one of the attorneys said that the most inefficient thing that he does is write down his time that he spends billing matters. And then since him and his secretary are not in the same area and he's an older attorney, he mails the time to her. She gets the time. She gets it into their system. She sends him the time. He gets the time back, and then he makes corrections. So what lean methodology is, it's a concept that really grew out of Toyota manufacturing, where you are trying to engage in the process of continuous improvement, right? And there's a book that Larry Port wrote that the Lean Law Firm, you should definitely check that out. But basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to chart out, okay, what are we doing? How does each process flow into this? How do we eliminate waste? How do we only provide the services that we need at a certain point in time for our clients to pull as needed? So if you're in a larger firm and you think that there's going to be an IP need for a certain reason, then are you going to be able to staff up, or are you overstaffed in areas? And the last step in this process is to never stop the process of continuous improvement. I think from the Toyota, there was a manager who was called "Oh No," because every time the manager would show up, the manager would be like, "Okay, we need to increase this by 10% more efficiency." And everyone, when they saw the manager would come around, would be like, "Oh no, this is not good. We have to make sure we're as efficient as possible." So I wanted to provide this example. I did talk to a law firm one time that was a larger sized law firm. And I said, and there's no identifiable information in here, but I was like, hey, give me an idea of how this process works for billing in your firm. So we talked about this a little bit already, but we'll go into a little bit more detail. So it says the attorney provides a hard copy of a billable time. Then the support staff enters it into hard copy in electronic form. Accounting department sends it. Attorney provides revisions. Accounting department makes revisions. Attorney provides final approval. Support staff mails the bill or emails it to the client. Attorney then, if they haven't gotten paid, reviews printouts of outstanding accounts receivable. They send follow-up to the client. Client remits payment. Accounting department processes the payment. Attorney notified of client payment. So what is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 steps to complete billing. Every single step in that process is inefficiency that can be uh, taken out of the system. Why does 7, 8 different people need to review something before it goes out the door? And that's the benefit of these case management systems or these other types of time and billing systems, is that instead of the attorney passing it off to 17 different people to finally get it in the system, the attorney can input the time and billing directly into the case management system. At the end of the billing cycle, whenever the bills go to be sent out to the client, an attorney can have a reminder from the task and workflow management that says, hey, we need you to go in and make these revisions to these billable matters, and then we will send them out. The attorney can go directly into the case management system, make those revisions, and then the assistant who is ever in charge of this can generate the bill from the case management system. It's just a matter of clicking a few buttons, and then in about 5 or 6 clicks, they can have the bill generated and have the email invoice directly to the client. And then when the client pays, everyone can be notified if you set up notifications that way. So we went from 12 steps to 4 steps here. And so when you're thinking about your firm, if you're in a smaller firm or medium-sized firm or even a larger firm, think about all of these different tasks that it takes to go in and get from point A to point B. And every single one of those people that are doing those tasks on the different way, they could be using their time on other types of things. I mean, we hear a lot that lawyers are stressed out in firms, especially when they're in solo practitioners, because of there's not enough time to get things done. So if you can make the time for yourself to become more efficient, you will have less time that you're spending completing redundant tasks. You will get paid more quickly. You saw it took 12 steps to get paid in one example, where you could get paid in 4 steps in the other way. There's also an opportunity cost here. Every moment that you spend on non-billable time is money that you could be spending on billable time. So Clio does its annual reports trends, which I know I've seen your folks, the Mass Low Map, tweet out, write about, talk about, and their annual survey concludes that each year it varies slightly, but it's around attorneys in their survey spend about 2.4 hours a day on billable time. So if you're stressed out about revenue, you're stressed out about not having enough time, if you could increase that to 4 hours a day, would that give you more revenue? Would that make things less stressful for you? Would you have more time to do other things? And the other point here is there is a reduction of mistakes. So if you go from 10 steps or 12 steps to bill a client down to 4, there's less opportunities along on that supply chain for you to make a mistake. Anyone who took undergraduate psychology knows the theory that the more tasks you give to someone, the more likely there is going to be a mistake in the process. And again, doing this isn't just going to be great for your firm. It's going to help you with the mental health and well-being. There's a quote from a recent study there that says, roughly half of practicing attorneys are experiencing symptoms of depression, anxiety, with approximately 30% of those falling into the mild range and nearly 20% in the moderate to severe range. So the question here is, what's stopping you from making this change? And the number one reason that I hear from firms, I was just talking to an attorney the other week who had to cancel their vacation plans because they didn't have enough time to go on vacation because their firm was inefficiently running on tasks. And so it's kind of like one of these things of, you're not making time to make things better, but you're taking away time from things that would make you happier. And why would you, I mean, how long is that sustainable? So take the time to streamline your processes. You can talk to the folks at Mass Low They can help you identify some ways to do that, or you can use some of the advice that's in here. So I think we are ending 1 minute after our time for we to have that. And it looks like we do have some questions here. So if you do have additional questions, let's go ahead and go through those, and feel free to add those. Laura, I'm just going to go through the questions that are in the chat. So the first question asks, is there any way to upload directly from your smartphone? I don't believe that there is. Your smartphone will have the Word on, you'll have the mobile version of Word on your smartphone. And the transcription feature only works in the Word online. So you would need to log on and upload that. But here's the thing. If you have your smartphone and you have your audio require file on there, you can log into Office 365 from your smartphone. And I believe that you can upload it through that function. So the next question says, I don't know if you're going to get to this, but in the old days with Dragon systems, you could train the voice recognition so that it gets better and better. A big problem right now with transcription is that proper nouns are often misrecognized. So yes, that is an issue. I don't think that Microsoft has any training other or any types of what's the word that you use, to train the voice recognition. I think that's a great term, that other than their built-in AI software that they're having to do this. And I'm not also sure how the Dragon transcription services are going to be incorporated into Microsoft's suite of products. I know a lot of other colleagues that I have get angry when Microsoft buy things because it's their belief that they buy it and then the software doesn't reach its full potential. So I guess there are arguments on both sides. So I'll see what happens there. If it's not recognizing proper nouns or other issues, there may be some alternative ways to do that, or it might just be the thing that you have to deal with as part of having, 98% of everything else that's done that's better. So let's go on to the
Just to
next.
pause before you go on to the next question.
Mm-hmm.
A few things. I don't know how much machine learning Microsoft has. I do know there's an option that you can train it to recognize your dialect more and to improve its accuracy with whatever your accent is. Another thing you could do if you're having some issues that proper nouns aren't coming up, rather than fix them individually, go back to some other tricks like find replace. As Chris says, it may give you 98% accuracy. That's still going to do a lot of time saving. If you do other simple tech tricks like that too, it will help you as well. So sorry, just want to add those in and into the
Great
next
advice.
question.
And this is why you got to use the folks at Mass Low as well. So the question was, is there a charge for Office 365? We did cover that one. And then the next question is what is the best product for dictation on the go from your iPhone? Our firm uses Olympus and I do not find it to be user-friendly. So I think I kind of covered this briefly before. If you're trying to use dictation on the go, try using your Microsoft. I haven't tried it yet, but try downloading the Microsoft Word for your phone app and then seeing if that dictation tool is available in there. My understanding is that it is. I haven't looked into that, so that might be the best dictation on the go. Another thing that you can do as well is in the previous links, I provided information on how to do dictation on your devices. So you don't necessarily have to use a program. For instance, you can open up, like I have an iPhone, obviously. I can go into the notes section and then I can hold down the button to start voice dictation, and it'll dictate everything that I'm saying at that point in time. So there are a couple different options there. I think probably the best on your iPhone is just using your notes section that's in your iPhone and then speaking into it, and then it'll dictate it all there. And then after you're done with that, you are able to email your notes to other folks. So you can email the note to someone else in your firm or who's ever in charge of transcription. All right. Next question is very interesting information. Read Dictation. Thank you. You're welcome. I have two questions. First, I've tried Dictation in Microsoft Word. One problem I found is that there's no way to force a word to be capitalized. Like I can say in Dragon by proceeding cap. Do you know if there's a way to do this, or is Microsoft planning to fix this? Second, I have been using Dragon Professional for 15 years, been at level 15 for probably at least 5 years. Do you know if Dragon Individual will ever have a new release? Thank you. So those are very good questions. I don't know about Dragon coming out with a new release. I would expect, since there is that purchase by Microsoft, that there is going to be some changes. I don't know exactly how that will proceed out, but I will tell you that probably the best thing you can do is contact Dragon's sales department and see what information they're able to give to you. They would be in the know of being able to help you out with that. As far as capitalization with Microsoft 365 and Word, I can't quickly Google that to see if you can do that. I would suggest Googling that. Laura, have you been able to do that in your use of it before in the past?
I haven't used it, but I will say Microsoft's help blogs are incredibly useful. I use them all the time. For example, too, if you're even wondering which version of Microsoft 365 to get, they're very helpful too. Like I was working with a client who wanted a suite of different features, and we found that the E3 was the cheapest for what they wanted on a business level. Some of the things that with these companies, as they have a lot of mergers and acquisitions, sometimes they change the names of some things often, but the company support blogs are always going to have the most up-to-date information. So I would say just go to their help section would be great.
Yeah, I always find great advice there and tutorials, and that's actually where I found out that Safari was not supported for Microsoft Transcribe and Microsoft 365. So those are great services. What about just Google Suite and its add-ons? I did cover that in a previous link. That is another option that you have. There's also a rev.com. They have an app. It is not free. Yep, there are a ton of other apps that are out there that will complete these services for you. I think really it just comes down to making sure that you or your staff have good functionality with it. The other thing that I would encourage you to do in Wisconsin, we have a duty of tech competence, and our ethics committee released a cloud computing decision. And in that cloud computing decision, it tells us that's instructive that attorneys are required to go through and take a look at these service providers that they're using. So if you're going to use a service provider to do these types of services, I'd want to know how your information is being stored, where it is being stored at, what the security level is. You also have to, as our instruction in Wisconsin for our attorneys has indicated, consider the client's instructions and circumstances, right? So if you have a client who has demands or certain needs for HIPAA or other regulations, you have to make sure that all these systems comply with those instructions. And if you tell a client that it doesn't, there was a big law firm out in Chicago that got sued for very much this. And in that lawsuit, the clients went through in plain English through their attorneys and outlined all of the different ways that the law firm had very bad security, allegedly, in their opinion. So you definitely want to make sure that you understand everything that's at play before you use different types of apps, and make sure that you have a good understanding of what the reputation is and all of the other things that I touched upon. Laura, you all have a similar thing here in Massachusetts as well, right?
We do, yes. We also have a statewide duty of tech competence. Most of the states have it, I think around 4 out of 5 now. If you have questions on particular questions of legal technology or things you'd like to do, like Chris was talking about in this webinar of how do I streamline this practice? We also, part of what we do at Mass LoMAP is we have free and confidential consultations. I do them for law practice management. We also have on the other side, Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers that support mental health, issues like that. So definitely feel free to reach out to us at any point, because yes, that is a competency here in Mass, and it's an important one that sometimes people are afraid to start on. But once it's like anything else in law, once you start learning a bit about it, you'll feel more comfortable with the legal jargon on it.
Absolutely. So are there, if you have any more questions, I'll probably give it another 30 seconds to a minute here to see if there's any questions that come in, and we'll go from there.
As we wait to see if there's final questions, first of all, I want to thank all those who posed questions. It was great. And Chris, this was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for walking us through this. You both took us through the strategy and the vision of why this is important, as well as some excellent specifics, tutorials. The links are very helpful. We really appreciate you going into the nitty-gritty on that. We're getting some comments in here. Great job. This was excellent. I completely agree. This was absolutely just outstanding. I love too how you broke out, for example, about the 12 steps versus the 4 steps. I used to work in a firm that had very much like the 12-step process, which is why I'm such a big proponent of talking to people about case management and how things can be done more effectively, as you laid out. Someone asked, will you send the slides? Yes, if you register for the program, the slides will be sent automatically. We have more people thanking in for the information and practical tips. I agree. This one had a lot of fantastic practical tips on how you can make your practice more efficient. As Chris mentioned, there's so much work that attorneys do in the day. There's opportunity costs that you can spend your non-billable time either billing more or some, for some wellness as well. Oh, wonderful. We also have some Wisconsin fans as well. So again, if you have further tips on this, Chris kindly send out his contact information. I encourage you to do consultations with me. I love this area. Chris, this has been marvelous. Want to turn it back to you if we have any final thoughts. It doesn't look like we're having follow-up questions in the chat, but we're having a lot of people thanking you for and noting especially about existing dictation tools. I agree with all of these comments, very interesting and helpful. So do you have closing thoughts for us? And thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me. I also appreciate the kind words in the chat. Definitely, if you have any follow-up questions, use the resources at Massachusetts LoMAP. And one other closing thought here is if you are in a firm that has multiple different departments, one analogy I've given in the past to firms when talking to them about their different needs and what they can do to become more efficient, it became clear that there were 5 different firms that all happened to be working under the same shingle. Right. So if that is or under the same roof. So if you're in a firm that has multiple different departments and there are different ways of doing all of these things, there's really an opportunity here to streamline these processes. So I would encourage you to take a look at that. Every single study or report that I really read about releasing information about the future of ready practice, there's pressure on billing rates from clients. A lot of larger firms have chief technology officers or practice management or law librarians that will come in and try to make this happen. So if you don't take the steps now, you're eventually going to have to do it in the future. And why not do it now so that you can be at the forefront? You always want to be in a position where you're anticipating your client's needs and meeting those needs versus your client telling you what they need and then having to provide that to them. So that's all I have for today. And thank you very much. I really appreciate everyone.
Wonderful advice and the reminder to be proactive rather than reactive. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you so much for all who attended. We appreciate you being here today, and please join us for next month. Our presentation on webinar for busy lawyers will be about returning to work. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.